Hey guys, what's up? It's TrueBro01 here, and I just took a 10-second bite out of this video. And I am here to essentially bring you guys an unpaid advertisement for Wreckfest. I bought Wreckfest, around 5 years ago. Well, it was in early access and virtually never played it. I came back to the game when it left early access to find out it was a pretty buggy and boring mess without much content. So I put it down again, and I put it down for around 5 years. I have recently came back to Wreckfest after a stint of boredom and found it was actually finished and has progressed very well since I last played it forever ago. It has a full-fledged campaign mode with deep customization, solid driving mechanics, with insane destruction, giving it its namesake. They also added a tourney game mode, which is essentially daily, weekly, and monthly challenges. The multiplayer game mode has also improved since then, and I can now say for sure that a $34 Wreckfest is an absolute steal. The campaign of Wreckfest is incredibly varied and has around 20 hours of very solid driving content that keeps things fresh. One of the main things you notice early on is how many tracks and track variations there are in this game. I remember playing Forza 5 and there only being a couple tracks on release. This game, at least initially, makes it seem like the amount of tracks is endless. The other thing you notice is the destruction and the driving mechanics, which get accented very nicely by certain events where destruction is the forefront, such as the many events where you get a bus or have to destroy other cars on the road. The destruction is what separates Wreckfest from other racing games. It is fun as hell to watch multi-car crashes in this game and see car parts fly everywhere. Combining this with solid car mechanics, we have a very strong core gameplay loop. Before I talk about the customization, I want to make a little disclaimer saying that Wreckfest isn't a crazy simulator racing game. Even though it plays well and physics aren't too arcadey, it is not a racing simulator. If you are looking for a simulator, then you should probably look somewhere else. Even though I would not call Wreckfest a simulator, obviously, the cars and car customization is still quite good. The customization in Wreckfest is more in depth than you would typically think in this kind of game. There is a large number of cars with a lot of different performance and demolition parts that you can upgrade and swap out. But the car paint customization does leave something to be desired. It isn't as varied as something like Forza, where users are able to upload custom paints and all that. But I personally don't care that much about deep paint customization. But if you're someone who does, this may be a large negative for you when it comes to Wreckfest. Overall, the customization is more than a game like this really needs it to be. At this point, I think it's just gravy on top of the core game. Wreckfest's tourney game mode is what helps keep the game fresh, containing daily, weekly, and seasonal challenges that rotate out. I haven't had a huge amount of time to go super in-depth into all of these challenges, but in my limited play, I have really enjoyed it. Many of these challenges are gimmicky, but that is also what helps set Wreckfest apart from other racing games. It actually has good, consistently fun, gimmicky game modes. There's also non-gimmick game modes where you can really test your mettle against the player base and see how you stack up each season. The tourney game mode really adds a lot to Wreckfest and is a core part of post-campaign gameplay, but I wouldn't call it the core of Wreckfest. The multiplayer is the true core of Wreckfest. The races are fun, and the community overall is very welcoming. There is a large variety of servers, so whether you want to crash into people and destroy their cars, or have a clean racing experience, there will always be a server available for you. Multiplayer is what gives this game its longevity, and I know that whenever I am bored and I just want to play a couple races, it will be there for me and it will be a very fun experience. I personally find the C-Class racing to be the most fun, but A-Class also definitely has its place if you want to go as fast as you possibly can and push the tracks to the limit. With all this, I still have a couple of cons about the game. My first con when it comes to Wreckfest is that there is some very noticeable pop-in in this game. Every single track, if you are somewhat paying attention, you will be able to see foliage and car parts pop up almost directly in front of you. I have a fairly decent computer, and this really should not be a thing in a game like Wreckfest. The second and last con is that in order to play Class A races in multiplayer, you'll probably have to have around 10 to 12 hours of campaign gameplay done first in order to be competitive. This doesn't mean it's impossible to play Class A multiplayer races, but you will just have to use a car that is much, much worse than everyone else's. In order to be able to max out a Class A car, you will need to be around level 36, which takes quite a bit of time. Until then, you'll pretty much have to stick to Class C multiplayer races. Technically, you could reach level 36 just playing multiplayer, but it will take a much longer time than the campaign. I would wager about 4 times as long. And that's all. Overall, I think Wreckfest is a fantastic game, and if you're a fan of racing or demolition derby games at all, you should definitely give it a try, especially for the price. It's not the most well-rounded racing game, but it does what it sets out to do very well, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and take my recommendation to heart. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. This will give me the willpower to continue making videos in the future. Take it easy.